Close your eyes and visualize this. It's a hot summer day. You and your best friend are sitting on the steps of a shop. You're drinking sodas, you're eating snacks, you're laughing, you're joking, you're relaxing. But something has been nagging at the back of your mind that your friend has been different. They are speaking different from their dialect that they usually speak. They are reacting and behaving differently than how they usually do. And when you confront your friend about this and you tell them that they have been acting slightly different from the person that you knew ever since they suddenly reappeared after having gone missing for a week on a mountain trip, you half heartedly think that your friend is going to laugh and they're going to joke and brush it off. But your friend doesn't. They look at you and they say, "What the heck?" And then you notice something. Part of their face seems as if it's almost melting. And then it unfolds into this fleshy, eldritch horror. And you realize that your friend, your best friend, is not who you think they are. This thing standing in front of you, sitting beside you, is not your best friend. And suddenly it lunges towards you. It wraps its arms around you. It's pleading with you and begging you not to tell anybody. It tells you that it cares about you. It tells you that it doesn't want to kill you, that it just wants to live a human life. Welcome to another Manga Sutra Manga review, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about a horror supernatural mystery manga called Hikaru ga Shinda Natsu, and this is the predicament our main character Yoshiki finds himself in. He is hit with a barrage of different emotions, fear and horror at this unknown creature or entity that is using his friend's body, his corpse, and impersonating him, trying to be him, trying to assimilate into his life. But he also misses his best friend. He misses the person that was closest to him. And we see in this moment Yoshiki accepts it. He accepts this new Hikaru. And as he gets home, we see Yoshiki goes to sleep and he recounts these memories of Hikaru before the mountain trip. How Hikaru would joke with him about Yoshiki liking him or things that they're going to do when they get older. And Yoshiki then recounts the moment that Hikaru was talking about the mountain trip. And when Yoshiki asks why is he going on his trip to the mountains, Hikaru makes a face and says that it's a secret. But then we see Yoshiki is waking up. He's crying. He's in a fetal position. And he goes outside and we see Hikaru waiting there with a bike. And they act as if nothing happened yesterday. We see at the end of chapter 1 that to Yoshiki, it's easier to accept this new Hikaru because life without Hikaru at all is just too much for him. He misses his best friend. And that void that would just be there from his absence is just too much. And I think a lot of us can relate to that. We all have somebody special to us that if they were gone from our lives, we would feel that absence indefinitely. And I feel like this manga definitely deserves a yaoi tag because there is some subtle undertones of romantic chemistry between Yoshiki and Hikaru, both in the past and the present new Hikaru. There is a lot of jokingly flirtatious behavior. "Oh, you like me. Oh, you miss me. Oh, if you get a girlfriend, we may not be able to hang out as much anymore." There's a lot of undertones of that going on here. In chapter 2, we see Hikaru and Yoshiki at school, and we see Hikaru crying over a movie. And Yoshiki points out that he's seen this film several dozen times, but the new Hikaru points out This is my first time seeing the film. I have memories of it from the old Hikaru, but this is my first time actually experiencing it. And we see after school, Hikaru is eating food and he's just overwhelmed and overjoyed at the different sensations and flavors and textures of food. And Yoshiki's just looking at him. And it's as Hikaru said before, this is his first time experiencing these things. As he told Yoshiki in chapter 1, he wants to live life as a normal human being. He has Hikaru's memories of the foods and the flavors. He has Hikaru's memories of the sensations and feelings that he has from previous encounters with things and other experiences. But him, the new Hikaru, he is just experiencing this himself for the first time. So all of this is just brand new to him. Hikaru and Yoshiki spot this cat that is the pet of one of the shop owners. And they both knew the cat from before, and the cat was extremely friendly. But the moment Hikaru goes to pet it, the cat goes berserk and it starts becoming really hostile. And Hikaru brushes it off, but Yoshiki peeps that. As they are walking home, they spot dragonflies. And Yoshiki points out that there are two different types of dragonflies. And I think this is a subtle hint at the theme of this manga. Yoshiki points out that there are two different dragonflies that have two similar sounding names. And they look nearly identical to one another, but they are entirely different species. And that is a subtle nod and hint to the new Hikaru. It looks like the old Hikaru. It sounds like the old Hikaru. It has the memories of the old Hikaru. But this thing is not Hikaru. It is an entirely different being from Hikaru. We also see Yoshiki and Hikaru encounter this elderly woman. And when she spots Hikaru, she calls him Lord Brain Snatcher and says that he's descended from the mountains. Yoshiki is confused by this, but Hikaru is visibly shook by this statement from the elderly woman. Yoshiki tells Hikaru to just let it go and to just brush it off and let's go. Hikaru tells him to wait up for him. And this points to another thing that we see in horror movies and horror stories or even horror series where pets and animals have this ability to sense the supernatural, the otherworldly, and then especially with elderly people as well. You know, you always have that horror movie where there's that one senile elderly person that sounds crazy, but in reality, they're actually seeing things for what they are. There is something that she's seeing, and there's something that the cat's seeing that us, the readers, and Yoshiki are not seeing about Hikaru. What is especially interesting here is we don't really know if Hikaru is malevolent or benevolent. We don't know if he is harmless or if he is hostile. We see later on in the end of chapter 2 or the start of chapter 3 that there is a transition. The elderly woman is in her home at night and there is a voice at her door that acts like it's trying to deliver her something and as if it knows her. But despite her fearful protest for it to go away and not to come into her house, it insists that it is coming into her house. And we see this panel of her looking at this empty hallway as it's dark and dimly lit in her house. And then it cuts to black. And we hear later on that there has been a disappearance. Another thing that we see that separates the old Hikaru from the new Hikaru, or just shows that this creature is struggling to fully assimilate and imitate the old Hikaru, is when Yoshiki is at school with fellow classmates. They're trying to convince him to walk them home because there is this road or this path that goes through the forest, and they are talking about weird sensations that they have been feeling as they walk through this path. This feeling as if they can't look side to side, they can't look at the woods because there's a presence, a force, some type of entity that is pressuring them to look straight ahead and just go through. So they're trying to get Yoshiki to come along because Yoshiki is apparently very brave. But Yoshiki vehemently refuses and insists that he is not brave. And when more of the students agree to go as a group, Hikaru goes in and says, "Hey, I think I would like to go along too." Everybody looks at Hikaru as if he says something that is completely absurd because, as they remind Hikaru, he's an absolute coward. He watched a horror movie and he cried for 2 hours straight afterwards. He is not a person that has nerves of steel. But upon hearing that Hikaru wants to go, Yoshiki changes his mind and he goes along as well. And I can't help but feel, since I'm halfway through chapter 3 as I'm making this review, that something bad is going to happen to one of the students. uh we really still don't know if Hikaru is benevolent or malevolent, but something happened to that elderly woman the moment she noticed, or the moment she said brain snatcher to Hikaru. All right, whatever that thing or person was that broke into her home and did something to her, I'm willing to bet it was Hikaru, the new Hikaru. We also have a moment where it's just really shady. We don't really know what the new Hikaru's intentions are other than trying to fit in and live a normal human life. When Yoshiki asks the new Hikaru if he killed the old Hikaru, the entity or the creature says that when they encountered Hikaru's body, Hikaru was on his last breath. We don't ever get any more explanation on why Hikaru was on his last breath. We don't know if Hikaru took his own life. We don't know if someone else took Hikaru's life. We don't know if Hikaru had an unfortunate accident in the mountains. None of that. All we just know is that this creature has been roaming around the mountains for a long time, and it was conscious and cognizant of its surroundings, but it wasn't truly living until it inhabited Hikaru's body. I cannot wait to read more chapters of this. This is an ongoing manga, and there are still more chapters being rolled out. So this is definitely something that you would like to get into if you like the plot or the premise of it so far. I think the art style is really crisp. It's really detailed. The settings or the scenery, especially when Hikaru and Yoshiki are taking their bikes and they're going along this trail in this small village, and you see these dragonflies. It's pristine. It's beautiful. Also, the first few pages of the manga as well, it really gives you this cozy, down to earth feeling when you see Yoshiki and Hikaru sitting on the steps of the shop and they're just eating and laughing and joking. And the manga does a good job of portraying facial expressions. We see this in the way Hikaru kind of blushes when he's jokingly flirting with Yoshiki, or the way the Yoshiki kind of just looks away and he seems kind of aloof and distant, but he is attentive. He is very aware of how Hikaru is projecting himself, I guess. I think this manga is really good. I think it's a great read, and this is definitely something I want to keep reading for the summertime. This is interesting because I read a lot of creepy pastas. I listen to a lot of creepy pastas, especially ones about doppelgangers, demonic possession, creatures in the woods, in the mountains that kill usually the storyteller's friends or family or loved ones, and then come back to shapeshift into them and imitate them in order to kill the storyteller. And this is Yoshiki's reality. This is not some creepy pasta tip. This is an actual situation. I also feel personally, plot wise, going forward, um like I said before, there's strong undertones of romantic chemistry between Yoshiki and Hikaru. And there is a part in one of the chapters where Yoshiki asks the new Hikaru, does he like him? And the new Hikaru says, I like you. I like you so damn much. And Yoshiki says to himself, Hikaru never said that. So I'm thinking potentially there is a romance between Yoshiki and the new Hikaru, but I'm also feeling that if there is a certain malevolence to Hikaru, Yoshiki's feelings for Hikaru, old and new, at least for the old Hikaru, is going to cloud his perception of the new Hikaru and the malevolence or the malicious intent of the new Hikaru. I can't wait to see how that unfolds, how that actually progresses throughout the plot. So hopefully you guys, as well as I, we're both reading this and we're both going to be able to share our thoughts on it. If you like these manga reviews, please subscribe for more. If you have a manga that you would like me to read and potentially do a review on, please drop it below in the comments. I would appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.